Up, crew.
G'day, mate.
Hello.
Hello, Carmen. How are we?
Good. It's been a while since I've joined the team on IMA.
Yeah. You've been busy, and then you're in America and all sorts.
I know that already feels like a million years ago. NFT world, man.
Yeah. Alright, we'll give people a few more minutes to jump in, and then we'll kick it off.
Let us know if you guys want us to maybe do a poll or something on the times that we do these. We're always Kiwi time, but you know, we can shift it around a bit. Some of our non-Kiwi time zone friends.
The metaverse runs on New Zealand time. Everybody knows that.
Yeah, it does.
It's hard to see what kind of man I used to be. Now I'm empty, void of fear. How can a mind
I'm surprised you haven't tried to change up all the playlists yet, Dan, to your sad boy tunes.
Look, I feel like if I start playing my music, we might get less engagement on the AMA. So I figure I'll just leave it with what's on there, you know?
That and Nova might kill you.
Yeah, and that.
I wondered, like, some of these intros to these songs sound like intros to the music that you listen to.
Yeah.
Then it suddenly just gets metal.
Yeah. It's baiting you in. You get like this false sense of security. Alright, looks like we've got plenty of people in here. Let's kick Cell out. Hello everyone. Welcome to our AMA number a lot. I don't know what number it is, so it's now AMA a lot. We have David and Carmen here today to take us through all your questions. You can also just start raising your hands now. So go ahead if you do have something on the brain already, and we'll get to that. David, any intros from you? How you doing? How's your last few weeks been going?
Yeah, pretty good. It's been pretty crazy few weeks. It's one of those time periods where a lot of what I'm doing is meetings right now. Discussing stuff, lining stuff up, setting up things, talking to really interesting people about really interesting things, and which is great. But you know, I always prefer building myself personally. I know the team's a bit jealous of the team all working away in the background, getting to build all these exciting things, and I haven't really got my fingers dirty for a little while. But it's good. Means we've got a lot of things coming up on the horizon, which are amazing. We're just moving into the sort of next phase for the ecosystem, and you'll start seeing some really interesting things happening that will start to click together all the pieces that we've been building over the past year, and you'll start to see that these things sort of really come together in a cohesive kind of way. I don't want to dive too deep into that without giving away some massive upcoming alpha, but this next phase is about releasing functionality and bringing together all these pieces that we've been building over the past year. Really exciting time for us in the ecosystem, and really big for the industry and space as well. Yeah, that's where we're at.
So what you're saying is it's all connected.
It's all connected. And it's going to be like, it's going to be those moments where it's like, that's connected. Or like, I knew that was a thing, and that connects with that thing, and that all makes sense now. So there's going to be a lot of those exciting kind of revelations as this next phase rolls out, which is going to be really awesome. And it's kind of the thing that we've been excitedly building towards all this time, which is really cool.
For sure, yeah. It's always interesting to see how it all comes together in the end, right? Like, even with the community kind of guessing how things piece together, and slowly, I mean, they figure stuff out before we announce it. Sometimes, then we announce it, they're like, "Yeah, see, knew it was that." So
Yeah.
it's fun to see when they get it right. We just don't tell them when they get it right.
Yeah. Well, no, sometimes.
Sometimes.
Sometimes when it's revealed, it's like, and you guessed it right.
Yeah.
We've even like having influence from the community over
Mhm.
some of these decisions that we're making. I had a tweet the other day with another project, and that's sort of sparked some stuff,
Mm.
which is really cool and really exciting to work on. But it's like, okay, well, these two things can sort of click together, and we're like, yeah, they can. Let's get on a chat and talk about it. And then we sort of exposed all these really awesome stuff that this sort of interruptible open metaverse space enables. And to be able to see, I think, seeing more interruptibility across the open metaverse space is going to be the next exciting thing. The projects that want to work with other projects and really realize this dream of an open metaverse where everything works together is exciting. And we're going to see a lot more of that, and we're certainly championing it from our side as well. Because as you know, it's the point of altered state machine.
Yeah, trying to bring everyone together into one space is definitely the goal, right? So you have all this interoperability and everything works together rather than against each other.
Yeah, yeah. Get rid of this zero sum game nonsense that we're the world's sick of.
Indeed. And Carmen, how have you been over the last few weeks? We haven't seen you here in a while. You been up to anything exciting and secret?
A few things. I know. Luckily, we've got you guys, you, Dan, Suda, our new, what's his name on the thing? Impish Ice. Being amazing community stars. But yeah, got a few exciting things. I'm very excited for the AMA in 2 weeks because there's a couple of things that I'm very keen to let people know that I will do very, very soon.
Yeah, there was a lot of excitement going around about seeing what could happen today and what needs to happen in 2 weeks. But it sounds like Carmen's got a lot lined up for the next AMA. So definitely pre save the date for that one. I believe it's just in 2 weeks from now, isn't it, Carmen? We're just back to fortnightly on standard for a little while.
Yeah, we definitely want to keep. I mean, and you guys can let us know. We see that we feel like these are really nice. This is a really nice way for you guys to keep getting updates and ask your questions and stuff. So we'd like to stick to the fortnightly AMAs, if that's what you guys want.
For sure, and yeah. So if anybody does have any questions for David or Carmen, please start raising your hands now. We'll start bringing people on in a few moments. So if you do have any driving questions that you want to ask, and if you don't want to jump on stage, you can pop them and ask us anything, and I'm happy to ask the team as well for you. If you don't have a mic, or if you're not too keen to jump on stage in front of everyone. But I can bring our first guest online now, which will be BTC Hornet. How you doing, buddy?
So I wasn't trying to be the first, but I guess I was. So I'm happy to be here and happy to talk to you guys again. I scribbled some questions. Nothing too alpha oriented, unless you feeling you're feeling alpha oriented spontaneously, David. But my first question is just a quick general question. So the brain weighting. The bell curve. There's a near perfect bell curve on brain weighting. So was that by design?
Yes. Yeah. So when you're building out AI, what you want to do is make sure there's enough sort of seed variety in the way that it approaches learning about tasks. And what that does is prevents the AI from landing on a common false peak, and all the AI trending towards a single solution where they're all exactly the same and they solve the problem in exactly the same way. So you have to have a good distribution of how those constraints are mapped out. And so you have a few sort of extreme outliers on each end, and then a nice common distribution throughout the middle.
And what about the extreme ends?
Yeah, well, we probably should see some super interesting results from the extreme ends. In my in my experience playing around with the AI, so yeah, and that might be good or bad. You don't know really. But the thing about AI is, we're going to be going through billions and billions of possibilities and training and billions of different, hundreds of billions of different solutions that the AI finds to solve different problems. It's almost impossible to. Well, sorry, no, it's entirely impossible to predict what it's actually going to do. So it's kind of just get it out there and get it crowdsourced and see what comes out the other end.
Okay, is the brain, when you look at it, the Genesis brains that we own, when you look at the NFT, it's a dazzling that 3D image. Is the brain suspended in fluid?
So this is probably something where our Loremaster Josh might be best to answer this question. So Josh is doing a really big exercise of bringing together the lore across the ecosystems, the whole ecosystem, and bringing together that storytelling aspect of what we're building and make sure it's coherent and fits together. And it's a massive piece of work, as you can imagine. We've got a lot of collections and a lot of stories to tell, and a lot of things that can fit together in sort of interesting ways. So maybe I'll get Josh to comment on that piece.
Yes. Thanks for summoning me, David. As much as I love being in the background, as much as I loved being in the shadows, reading through everyone launching through the Discord, it is great that you can finally reveal what I'm doing in the background. But to answer your question, rather than imagining them as like water balls or something, we're imagining them as beings of pure energy, that they're able to travel through this open metaverse as that kinetic energy moving around, joining and combining with these avatars, these NFTs that we're doing, the fluff, the Ape All-Stars. And because their energy, they're able to travel, they're able to move around very naturally. And that's how I would prefer like everyone to start imagining them as this being of this ball of energy, this conscious energy that's traveling through this open metaverse.
So kind of like Phoenix Force.
Okay, and so can you on that line of thought, what's up with the snow? I asked about this about 5 AMAs ago. There's snow in there. There's a snow globe with the brain. It's in fluid, and there's little specks of things swimming around. I call it snow.
Yeah.
What's up with that?
Without going too far into the detail, the way I'm imagining it is where their place, where they start in this metaverse. They try to grab and hold on to any life around them, trying to emulate that life force and make it look like more than just a being of energy. So you're imagining a lot of people have talking about it. Looks like a coral reef, a sea anemone, and they've been placed somewhere where they've latched onto this idea, this energy, this life, and that's where they've started to gain their look. That's where they've started to gain their form, why they look like they do. At least for Genesis brains, that is.
And Gen 2 brains will have a different design language for a lore reason of why and how they've sort of come about. which looks really cool, by the way. We were going to drop it in this AMA, but we're going to have to wait for 2 weeks when we do the 11th hour podcast over YouTube, because it's kind of hard to, we can't share screen on the Discord ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was going to say, does that more answer your question or put a scope onto why they look like they do at the moment?
Well, I was specifically asking about the snow, and it looks like little organisms swimming around. So
Yeah, it might
Is it-
not be snow. I mean, a lot of people, like I said, have made it look like a deep ocean coral side. So it might not be snow. It might be something else swimming around in it. But I got to be honest. A lot of the brains look slightly different. Have those slight changes in that animation, and there'll be a reason why. Because obviously, if you place it in one planet or one moon, they're not all going to be in the one area. They are going to spread around, and they are going to gain slight changes, slight differences. That explains the colors, and it obviously explains why some of those particle effects look so different.
Okay, it's amazing, and look forward to putting them to use. And my last question, it seems kind of random, David. Have you ever had a conversation with Elon Musk?
I haven't. No, not me.
Bored
Has
Elon,
anybody-
though.
Okay, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Awesome. Cheers, BTC Hornet. Thanks for coming up on stage. It looks like we don't have a lot of people wanting to come up on stage today, which does lead us to the idea of that we can ramble about whatever we want at this point, because we can do anything. If you do have questions, team, feel free to come up on board. It's up to you, David. But do we want to expand on a couple of Josh's ideas, or is there anything else you'd like to share as well?
I was wondering if there was any questions out there about the task board, and what people are feeling and whether they're engaging with it, and if it's if the information's been helpful, and if they want to know any more about any of the specific tasks going through. I'm really excited about the pre-alpha part, which is coming up in the next few sprints, which is really cool. Is where we get to test out some of the pacing and mechanics side of AFA before we release it into the hands of for play testing. So as an ecosystem. Mostly Alter State Machine stuff, but also Fluff World stuff and other people in the ecosystem will start playing the game and saying, okay, well, we think it needs to be a little bit faster. Like this thing isn't obvious of how to use it. You need to tighten that up. Maybe we should add or remove these features, that sort of stuff, and get it to a point where we can put that polish level on, and then get it into the hands of you guys to start giving us feedback on, which is really exciting part of
Yeah,
the development process.
I feel like I'm not going to get a lot of work done once that does come out for us. But I guess it is work, right? Like testing
It's
pre-alpha.
work.
That counts. Yeah,
It's
that
work.
counts. Cool. I've got Kevin on Earth up on stage. How you doing, mate?
Hello, how are y'all doing? How's everybody doing tonight?
Pretty good. Yourself?
I like all the progress. I'm, always a big fan and regularly attend the AMAs and kind of take notes on everything happening. And I definitely like, that there's a culture being built around this and stuff. So I definitely like everything that's happening with the lore and how this all ties into the bigger ecosystem. I have a couple. I have a couple questions, small questions, and then I have a note regarding the task board.
Yeah, awesome.
So one question I had is like, and maybe this is something that could have just been asked in chat, but I'm curious to hear what y'all think directly. Is that like, so Altered State Machine is its own organization, but it's part of this bigger partnership with Fluff World and all the and other like entities. Like, can you tell me more about the relationship that Altered State Machine has with these other entities?
Yeah, so Alter State Machine is its own distinct company, and it was founded by myself and Aaron and Hal Smith Stevens and Phil, and we also share founders with a bunch of other companies like Non-Fungible Labs, who have Fluff World and Party Bears and Thingies, and Aaron's also a founder of Silo, which is partnered with Non-Fungible Labs. And then we've got the Shadows team, which is part of Party Bears, and then a whole bunch of other peripheral blockchain companies that have been around for, and we've been working with and founders of or investors in for about the past 6 or 7 years now, who've been building the primitive building blocks of Web3 for all that time, and we all work together on what we're
That's
building.
amazing.
Yeah.
How was that like how did that relationship like kind of evolve? Where you said you were already working with Non-Fungible Labs and it kind of evolved from there into was this like this space for AI something that you saw that was going to be necessary and then you just decided to take that on yourself with some other founders? Is that like how this and then of course then Non-Fungible Labs and like and then that kind of grew as part of the ecosystem? Like can you tell me about that?
Yeah, so for me, I've been working alongside Centrality Group for about 6 years. So I was the CEO of Centrality over in Japan, and before that, I ran the Melbourne office. And Centrality was sort of Aaron McDonald's vision about 7 or 8 years ago. He envisioned a sort of a venture studio, or a group that could bring together lots of people wanting to build out open sort of Web3 technologies and have them work together and build on each other's work, and under the concept of 1,000 zebras are more powerful than one unicorn, right? There's
Love that.
so many good ideas out there that that are difficult to scale unless these companies work together, and that was kind of the founding principles of the Centrality Group. So the Centrality Group has been Aaron split into two funds now, and there's about 60 portfolio companies across those two funds, and a lot of us work together on various things. I've been part of that group since really early on, and I've been working on the idea of gamification of AI since I was, in my teens, basically.
Right.
And it's something that sort of came together, these couple of decades of work that I had been sort of picking up and putting down over the years, sort of came together, all at the same time as this Web3 space was sort of taking off, and then it all kind of clicked into place. So we got
Amazing.
the prototype done. We launched around about the same time as Non-Fungible Labs launched, and have just worked alongside each other ever since.
Awesome. Yeah, I've been holding since the Genesis mint of the boxes. Definitely have been
Oh wow!
just seeing. Yeah, like this has been something where, like, I could tell from the beginning the quality in the work that your team is doing, and like how this wasn't just one person. This was a movement, and that for me, I was like, that's what I bought into. Like I minted 5 boxes, and I've been holding them. Like I opened them, but like that's just been something that I'm still very bullish on, and I'm excited to see how things continue. Regarding the task board, I wanted to mention right now the way I'm looking at the roadmap, like I love the way the roadmap is lined out. It's not so clear how in the task board, like how the specific tasks that are in alignment, like what milestone per se that they align to, or maybe this aligns to just the whole next phase up to the AFA season 1 game. Like that's the only thing I would add, is just to like have it clear on the task board, like how do these tasks necessarily each aligned to these specific like milestones that we're trying to get to.
That's a good point, actually. It is, yeah, is interesting. So the task board is basically a high level overview of our sprint, our 2 weekly sprint board, where we take out the sort of high level items and put them in here. Underneath these, there's a whole bunch of tasks that that are farmed out to the engineers for individual components or designers,
Totally.
all that sort of stuff for to work on in that 2 week time frame. But it would be pretty cool if we could put a little tag on them to show which
And
part of this.
it's an idea.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Let's look into that. Carmen, do you want to?
Awesome.
But that
Oh no, it's a
shouldn't be too
tag.
hard for me to do. Yeah, I
Sorry,
can get that.
yep.
I can
Yeah,
get that
that's
done pretty
Dan.
easily.
Hmm.
Yeah, so just I can give you like a little bit more information on like how the tags work at the moment, and what they sort of relate to. Obviously with A for game, everything that's tagged A for game is for essentially A for game. It is
Totally.
the and then AI research that obviously has a overarching into the roadmap with it's self-explanatory. It is the AI research that
Yeah.
helps towards AFA. It helps towards all sorts of other projects. Cortec website is the building of the website and any updates. AFA website is the AFA website. But I could add another tag into it that basically says, okay, this one is for this part of the roadmap. I can look
Yeah.
into it and see how well we can point them. Obviously, some won't point somewhere. But I'll look into it. It's a good idea.
I wouldn't want to overcomplicate things. Just something that came up in my mind when looking at the task board actually literally earlier today. And the other thing I was going to note is that, maybe like if that's the case, if many of these things are kind of overarching, like maybe then what I'm just thinking then is this task board reflects everything that we see here on this existing roadmap, but all of us know that there's something much bigger and much grander beyond, AFA, beyond the AFA game season 1 launch. And, for that matter, maybe just putting something like, like at the top of this roadmap, just kind of like identifying that this isn't just a roadmap overall. This is like a phase 1 roadmap over like a longer, bigger vision. We can't share with you the bigger vision, but here's the task board and the, towards phase 1 roadmap. And here's the steps. Then maybe you don't have to add another tag that way. But I think like for people coming in and visiting, they, when they look at this roadmap, at least in that way, maybe you're giving them an immediate understanding of, yes, this is our roadmap, but this is something that's going to be much bigger, far reaching.
That's cool. I think what a useful thing to be done soon is maybe an ecosystem roadmap at some point of.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
That would be. I think that's key.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Okay, cool. I've got.
All right.
I've
Well,
got
thanks
that
for having
on
me
the,
on, and thanks for answering
the
my
list.
questions.
All good. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Yeah, great questions and a great takeaway for us as well to do some updates. Brian, welcome to the stage.
Hey, friends. Thanks for having me up.
What's up, bro?
How you doing?
Good.
Good. I did have a couple of questions. So on the task board, I saw that there is a finalized task for building a simulation for the mapping event, which I'm going to assume is genome mapping. So can you talk a little bit more about that? Because I know on the pre-recorded AMA, you guys said that's going to be a big thing decided on by the community, and I think the community has been discussing it a lot and throwing out ideas. And so I was curious to kind of see what your simulation entailed and how that worked and how you guys were thinking about that.
Yeah, so we've come up with a way to make sure that we've got the kind of community input that I wanted into mapping out these different attributes that people can use the genome matrix for. And one of the things that was really important to me in the beginning is that it was sort of crowdsourced and organically sort of developed over time by the community and by different people developing different use cases for and with the Alter State Machine protocol. And we've also got this other force on the other side which is compelling us to create a rarity scale for brains themselves. So we've got these two sides where I want the attributes to be organically discovered over time or crowdsourced by the community, but also we've got the strong need to start to introduce ways that people can build up their own sort of rarity scales for brains and make trading decisions based on that rarity scale. So we've got a plan to kind of do both things in a what I'm calling the Tag Cloud Bootstrap event. We'll probably come up with a better name than that, but essentially, the thing that we're modeling out and simulating at the moment is the community getting together and starting to put these attributes that are not just related to the AFA game or the Next Legends game on the genome matrix on where they think they should sort of end up. And that will drive the decisions we make for getting those attributes and bringing them into those games. So the team made an internal tool for us to simulate some of these, to simulate that event and see what the outcome is going to be. And it's looking pretty good. So that's a piece of functionality that needs to be released as soon as possible, preferably before Gen 2 brain mining starts or around about that time. So people can start really seeing what the brain's individual brain's capabilities are going to be.
Interesting. So I guess that leads to my next question, which is there an argument to be made that should be randomized rather than like community voting and deciding in order to make it fair for everyone so that no one can swing vote or opinion one way or the other to, bolster their brains, or am I completely misreading that?
That was an idea that was suggested, but one thing we want to do is make sure there's consistency. So if we have a whole bunch of tags that are related to strength, power, force, size, and those kinds of things, we want them to be clustered on top of each other because they are related to each other. And then when you start bringing in some of those soft attributes like personality traits like aggressiveness and clumsiness and friendliness and all those sorts of things, it's going to be interesting to see where they end up on the matrix in relation to some of the hard stats. And that's the sort of thing that I wanted to really crowdsource is that sort of stuff. So it creates a consistent experience when you use your brain for something that's like sports related, and then you take it out and use it for something social related. That you're like, yeah, that makes sense. That guy's a dick on the field. He's going to be a dick when I chat to him in this, chat environment, right? So that you get these kind of consistent experiences across the board.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Okay. A non-related question. So, David, I'm going to go ahead and quote you. I think you said 2 days ago, also knowing what I know is coming in the next couple months, it's hard not to scream it out at the top of my lungs. So I'm not naive enough to think that you're going to give anything particular away here, but could you give us maybe like a broad level of like what you're referencing? Is it conversations you're having, partner projects you're working with, something you've created for AFA?
The thing is, the bigger these things are, the less I can say about them. If I said all of the above and more, that's probably as much as I can sort of say. Yeah.
Fair enough. Awesome. I appreciate it, guys. Thank you for having me up.
Awesome. Thanks, bro.
Some cheers, Brian. Crypto Prowess, welcome to the stage.
Hey, what's up, guys? Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Excellent. So I was just wondering if you guys maybe were able to shed any light on when the Asto token might be more of a usable ecosystem token.
Yeah, so we're not too far away from the utility. We need to get through the liquidity bootstrap auction lockup period and have that event run its course. The first bit of utility is going to be Genome Mining, which is launching in sort of the next month or so, and also the ATM Car Club is going to be using Asto to mint. Following that, we're going to have intelligence mining, which is the big chunky bit where you can train your brains. We've got the hive mind generative art process as well. That is going to be using Asto, and then also partnership projects that are going to be coming in at sort of different times over the next sort of 6 months. So we're going to start seeing a lot more usage of Asto within the ecosystem and outside the ecosystem, sort of ramp up starting from sort of the next month or so.
Excellent. Thank you.
No problem.
Awesome. Just the one question. Amir, welcome to the stage.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
We can.
Okay, so a couple of suggestions on the task board. I mentioned them in the chat room, but I'll just mention them again here. Goes along with the earlier guy was saying, but one thing is, for me personally, at least, it's hard for me to go to every single project I own's website to look and maybe see a task board or something like that. I was asking in the chat room whether that can be posted. I think you guys said you do 2-week sprints every couple of weeks. That would be posted in a Discord, which is somewhere that people go for all their projects. I think more people would get their eyes on it that way if it was also provided there. The other suggestion was that if a lot of people absorb information differently, the task board is kind of short form. I think explanation that maybe it would be easier from someone on the inside to understand, but for normal people like myself, maybe having like a write-up of what was accomplished in that 2-week sprint period in layman terms, so that we understand, what's been completed in something that's more descriptive, that may explain things a little bit better. So those were my 2 suggestions for the task board. One question I had. Can you guys hear me still? Sorry.
Yep.
Yeah.
Good.
One question I had was for this ATEM, the mint. Will you need to have a brain to be whitelisted, for example, or is it just ASTO to mint?
Asto to mint and brain holders will get a whitelist spot.
Got it.
Yeah.
Great. That's the only question I had. Thank you, guys.
Awesome. And thank you for the suggestions.
No problem.
Yeah, thanks for that, Amir. We have moved now to the process of posting it on the Discord every 2 weeks, so I will keep up with that, and we've locked down the process to get it out basically at the exact same time every 2 weeks.
Perfect.
The small write-up as well is a good idea. I'll look into the write-up as well as like almost a verbal version as well. We'll see how much detail we can get into. But I actually took down all of your suggestions. They're written in my little notepad
Awesome.
from our chat in the Discord. So you had your very good insight. So I think it was very useful. So thanks for that.
No problem. I'm rooting for the project. So
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
thanks, guys.
Cheers. Tybo, welcome to the stage.
Yo, I wanted to ask about the upcoming intelligence mining, and you said hive mining. I wanted to know what exactly is that going to be? Is that related to the AFA game, and will that be like something that will be like some sort of dashboard, and how exactly have you guys tested it out, and how exactly does it work, just so we can have an idea of how the training process goes, I guess.
Yeah, so the training process for intelligence mining for AFA will be done through the dashboard, the All Stars dashboard. So I kind of envision training to be for each specific use case to be done through the execution environment for that use case. So, for example, AFA will be done through the AFA execution environments. The Thingies Art, Hivemind will be done through the Thingies execution environment, so that it relates to whichever tasks that you're trying to train your brain to do at the time.
Yeah, and so when we like see the training happening, will it show up? Where will we see like the memory tree and how our brain is progressing and stuff like that?
So statistics you can see in two spaces. One, so sort of protocol level stuff will be in the Alter State Machine Cortex website. So that will give you an overview of all the things that you trained for, and execution environment specific things will be within that execution environment. So your AFA football stats will be within the AFA execution environment that are specific to that use case.
Cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So with like eventually like training our brains up, how do we like show people, say like I have a Gen 1 brain and I'm training it up to be a good virtual assistant, how would I like prove that to someone that I'm wanting to sell the brain to? Like, would I have to like show a presentation of how it works, or would they be able to see it like in the memory tree? Like, how would that work exactly in terms of like telling people what my brain does?
Depends if it's a subjective or objective task. So being a good conversationalist is pretty subjective, and you would probably, either show a video or have them talk to it, or they can let them interact with it. Something like being a good striker in AFA is something that would be very objective. So we can have hard stats that prove that point, saying that it scores 80% of the goals and it's won, 12 tournaments, and has a top 10 scoring percentage, compared to everybody else, or stats like that, which are quite objective, and people can filter through and see what is what. But for subjective stuff, it is a little bit harder. And you might like your chatbot, and its conversation abilities, but somebody else might not like the same one. So that stuff's always a little bit harder.
Cool. No, that makes a lot of sense. Now looking forward to training my brains, and can't wait to see more. Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Awesome. Thanks very much, Tybo. If anybody else does have some questions, feel free to pop your hands up. Just looking through our Ask Us Anything questions. One that I've seen come up a lot, David, from the white paper, is that what is the angle matrix?
Angle matrix is involved in hereditary AI. So it's some little bit of math there that determines the outcome of cloning your brains, or what we're calling them, assimilating your brains. I don't know. Do we have a term for that yet?
Breeding, but we're gonna change that. I think we're still that might be a law thing for Josh.
That's a Josh question.
Yeah, we're breeding at the moment, but I don't know about that for the brains.
Hey, if anybody from the community has any suggestions around naming that piece of functionality, let us know.
Spawning's
Yeah.
quite a cool one, Joga. He just commented spawning.
Yeah, I'm worried. I'm worried to put a definitive label on it because our community obviously loves to have so much input. If we drop the hammer and say it's definitely called this, I feel like we're closing the door for our community to have some fun. I love the idea of naming rights, having some fun, enjoying. Like I don't know if you've been seeing, David. A lot of people are asking about some of our like intelligence mining, all those complicated terms, and they're asking for simplified versions. I feel like the community could have some fun making up names and making up ideas to call them something more simple.
We should have a competition.
I thought I was pretty good with when I came up with the term intelligence mining. Just quietly, I was like, oh wow, I've cracked it, but apparently I haven't. So I'm happy to let that one go out.
Yeah. Now you came in from like an engineering side. You're like, this is exactly what it is. This is what it does, and everyone's like, it's like we fit brain training, and like that's I'm like that's the simpler term, but you've cracked it on the head. I'm just like, imagine something even easier that you could just read and instantly know what's happening.
Yeah,
should we have a comp in they can use the Law and Order channel to come up with names for at least for the breeding for hereditary AI? Give away a brain for the name chosen.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
You heard it here, folks. Heard it here first, folks. Carmen said you can win a brain, so get to work. There's a couple other questions in the Ask Us Anything. Since brains will be whitelist for Atom, will it be one per brain or per wallet?
See, hang on. Mofluff.eth, assimilated fragmentation. That is pretty much exactly what we're doing. I like that name. Just saying.
I do as well, but again, I feel like that's a lot of
that's a big brain
large words. That's a big brain answer.
All right, I'm going to start calling it that from until a better one comes along.
That's what it's called now. That's the internal word for it now. We also have a couple other questions. A very basic one is what uses will Asto have beyond training? We've gone over it a little bit, David, but do you want to just do a quick list off of what we can say so far?
Sorry, I missed that. What was that?
What uses will Asto have beyond brain training? Just like
beyond intelligence mining. So
yes.
It is a token that fuels the ecosystem. So for things like an example of that is the ATM Car Club Mint. It's a play and earn token for use in games like Aether and Next Legends. It's also a governance token for deciding on activities that the Altered State Machine DAO will undertake. So those are its sort of main uses.
Cool. They've expanded on that too and asked specifically for the Muhammad Ali game.
Yes, it will be used for the Muhammad Ali game.
There you go. I think that's all you're going to get for now. You won't get specifics on what it can be used for in the game.
Well, I mean, it'll be a play and earn token. And it'll also obviously for intelligence mining involved in that game. So the Muhammad Ali game is in development at the moment. It's coming together really nicely. I think in 2 weeks' time, when we do the 11th Hour podcast with Brooke, we might have some teasers ready by then. And then there's going to be probably because of the level and the gravity behind the IP behind Muhammad Ali and what we're building. This is going to be definitely the biggest marketing activity that we've done from Altered State Machine. We've done everything completely organic growth for what we've been building in the protocol, but this is a game. This is a massive undertaking, and it's and Muhammad Ali has a massive following, so you're going to see a lot more activity outside of our community around the Next Legends game, as that we haven't really done previously.
Yeah, for sure. It's a massive undertaking for every side of the company and everyone involved. There was one that you glossed over that I'm being harassed to re-ask you, David, and that is if ATOM is for the whitelisting, is it one per brain, one per wallet, or is it a cannot answer right now?
I think that's an Ask Jeffrey question over on the ATM Discord.
All right, you heard it here. Go into the ATOM Discord and harass Jeff instead.
It's about time people started harassing Jeffrey.
Yeah, yeah. There you go. Yeah. Someone's posted in a bunch of screenshots. So, if you can't find out here, head over to the ATOM Discord and find out. Do we have any more questions? Doesn't look like there's too many people. I think a lot of people might be waiting for that AMA in the next 2 weeks that Carmen's talked about.
It's gonna be a big one.
Yeah, but Kona Road, welcome to the stage.
Hey there, happy to be on. I joined midway, so pardon if it's a repeat. It's not so much a question, but one of the things that's been I've seen a lot of obviously the little leaks out of like Seekers have had stuff pretty regularly, and I was kind of thinking about some of the things we could do in advance of the game. And if you've seen some of those 2-minute papers videos where they've had some of the little AI interactions and hey, they did this, hey, they did that. And I think David, you've mentioned a couple times like we've seen some interesting things in training. Once in a while, a little leak of the AI doing sort of interesting things you've seen in the training before we're to kind of full release. It'd be kind of cool as we get closer to the game to see a couple of the things that might be quirky or unusual coming out of that training.
Yeah, that's a really good idea. I like that. Yep, I'm definitely keen to do that. I want to put maybe after we get the game footage trailer out, so people can see, this is what it's going to look like. So then when we share the engineering demos of stickmen doing things, which you use when you're developing, that they're not, oh, is that the game? Oh, that looks stink. So I want to get the gameplay footage out first before we do that, because you do one post of your game with the engineering assets in place, and that goes out to the whole Twitter community, and everybody comes back and says, oh, it's a crap game. They don't even have 3D models. So I want to make sure there's that context there before we release those things.
Yeah, sure thing. It seems like just kind of in the weeks leading up to whatever, you might be able to do that.
Great idea. I love it.
Cool, thanks.
Awesome, thank you for your question. So it sounds like hopefully sometime soon we'll get those leaky leaks of AI being awesomely dumb and awesomely smart. I think that's one of the things I'm looking forward to most, David, is just watching the AI struggle until it starts learning.
Yeah, and that's something that that needs to be fine-tuned as well. So that's going to be one of the interesting things that's going to come out of the pre-alpha is what that tolerance level for watching your AI struggle is going to be, and where do we sort of set the starting point for how well the AI can play? Because if you started it completely dumb, it might take a while before it's even remotely useful at playing a game. Or if you start it somewhere, okay, it knows what soccer is, it's just not super good at it and not super good at the strategy side. Let's watch it develop that over time. And we've got to find a really good balance point where the starting point of the AI is. So that's engaging and actually fun for people to play.
Yeah, for sure. There's only, I mean, some people there will only be a certain amount of training they can do right with the ASTO they have. So it's more like, okay, you want a certain amount of functionality before they're even in there.
Yeah.
You don't just want 4 all-stars sitting in the goal and hoping for the best.
Yeah, like some of my ones in the past have just huddled in the corner with the ball and ran out the clock, and that's not kind of things that you necessarily want to see. So we're gonna make sure that starting point is at a good spot.
For sure. Awesome. All right. I will bring up probably our last question of the day. Herman, welcome to the stage. You are currently muted. There we go.
Hey team, how's it going?
Good,
Good, how are you?
good.
Yeah, good. Hey, just a quick thingy question.
Hmm.
You guys are building out the utility and the AI function with them. So, how's that going? Is there some snippets you can share with us on the process and a little rough ETA on like I guess your guys' side of the thingy utility and when that's looking at it will be able to be released?
Yeah. So what I think we've talked about this, so I don't think I'm getting in too much trouble. But different thingies will be thingies are the artist of the ecosystem, and different thingies will be able to create different kinds of art. And we'll be releasing that first kind um, in the not too distant future. Uh, Around definitely during the Genome Mining event. And maybe we can go to the Fluff World team and see if we can leak some stuff on the podcast in 2 weeks.
Awesome.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, epic. Sweet. That was my only question. Thanks, team.
Awesome. Thank you.
Cool.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Herman. I just wanted to call out Josh there too. You've said something in the Discord about an Aether moon design. Do you care to go over that anymore at all?
Tell you the truth, I've been so deep dived as far as like writing the lore. I forgot that wasn't released. Like I forgot that we haven't announced that the Aether All Stars will all live on this moon together. This massive planet that's growing and expanding and has massive oceans, all these like desert outlands, this frozen tundra, this massive city in the center of it. And I completely forgot that wasn't announced. And now I'm like, well, now I need a designer to come and help me make sure the graphics ready for when we properly announce it, is all I'm going to say about that.
We got you.
Whoops.
First thing Monday morning.
Yeah.
That's awesome. This whole sort of lore and storytelling side is the thing that really really fascinates me the most. Is that and the fact that it's emergent storytelling as well. It's about developing the world with the community, which is really interesting challenge for a story writer. Is that you've got your sort of core framework of a vision that you're kind of building, but then you're incorporating things, and it's a conversation with the community around how it develops, which is the thing that fascinates me about this whole metaverse space, open metaverse space particularly, is that it's community driven and really interesting.
Yeah, and just to get myself in more trouble while we're here, and like obviously talk about the community engagement, we're not going to start a lot of these stories at the beginning. We're going to start a lot of these stories right in the action, jumping into it. So a lot of that preamble, a lot of that creation side, that might be the community having complete control. Like I might have a vision, but obviously the community as a whole can build up this world, and it could be a lot of fun seeing where people take this metaverse, this open idea that we have, especially with all these other communities jumping in and getting involved.
Agreed. Awesome. Well, if there's no more questions from the community, I think we can wrap that up. As usual, I'll be in and out of the Discord at any given point on any given day. So feel free to hit me up if you've got any more questions. Looking forward to having some of that stuff come out on the podcast in a couple of weeks. And yeah, everybody, I hope you have a good weekend.
And just to follow up on that, so we've got the very, very exciting podcast in 2 weeks, which you will not want to miss. And then following that, in the following 2 weeks AMA, we've got Hal coming up again, and he's going to do a big tech AMA. So start getting your tech questions ready for 4 weeks from now.
Awesome.
Excellent. We'll have the big brain tech questions coming out. So I'll just sit here in silence, confused by everything that's asked, which is perfectly fine for me. Any sign off notes from you, Josh, or are you staying quiet now so you don't get any more trouble?
I mean, if I get in trouble, I'm just going to blame David for releasing my name and releasing me out into the world. I think we've given the community enough slight alpha leaks, and obviously with the promise that the next week or so we're going to be releasing the actual graphic, the design, what the moon looks like, and obviously we're going to start to build out this solar system and this massive ecosystem with the other worlds involved as well. So I'll leave it there and we'll start to build out from that point on.
Awesome.
Love it. The community's going to want you on every AMA now, Josh. So prepare for that.
Maybe we'll do a lore ramblings show, Josh, so people can deep dive into the world and figure out how everything works, and also give you some great ideas about it.
Oh, you know how much I love just sitting down and just getting to release information, just spouting for half an hour. Like, if nothing can stop me, I'll go for hours. Like, if no one puts a time limit on it, I'll keep going.
That's the one. All right. Thank you very much, everyone, for tuning in today. As David said, he will be in and out of the Discord, so feel free to ask him any questions. Myself and Josh as well will probably be hanging around, so if you do have any more questions or just want to chat, we'll be around. And yeah, that will be us signing off for the week. Make sure to tune in to the podcast in 2 weeks' time. That's a big one. We're all very excited for that as well. And if we don't see you there, we'll see you inside the Discord. Thanks for coming.
Awesome. See you guys.
Thanks, guys.